We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cage by IQ. This is your host, D-Bake. Joining with me once again is my co-host, Jim. How's it going, Jim?
What's up, man? I'm ready to dive into this fight night. Great card.
Yeah, I know. This fight card has been changed several times.
Yeah.
Went from being a very good main event to an unknown card to actually a very solid card altogether at the end of the day. What was your first opinion when you saw the card fully the other day when they announced it?
I like that they're bookending the strawweights. You know, you have Waterson and Rodriguez in the main event, and in the kickoff of the main card is their last opponents in Ribas and Hill.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that we're getting Cowboy Cerrone, another fight. We know that there's a bunch of stuff going on between the UFC and his former opponent, Diego Sanchez, and Alex Morono stepped up, 5 days notice to take this fight. And then you have you have these up and coming guys and gals that are on the outskirts of the top 10 or just right at the back of the end of the top 10 looking to take that next step in their career. So I'm excited for this one.
Yep. And then before we get started, I just want to make note that the main event, because they have put the main event together so on a short notice, they were supposed to fight 3 rounds, and then because of the scrap fight, and then they didn't fully announce the Rodriguez versus Waterson until 2 days ago.
Yeah,
they're actually fighting at flyweight instead of strawweight because of the short notice. Because to cut that much in short amount of time for a 5-round fight, they weren't going to make them do that. So they were just like, just make sure you make it for a flyweight. We'll give you a little bit of leeway with the weight because you're doing 5 rounds, and then that's where it's going to be. So So
that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice of them.
Yeah. So it's sort of like a catch weight, even though they're both straw weights. They just don't have to worry about doing all the craziness and short notice because they weren't even sure what was going to happen with the main event at the time.
It's nice of them. Could you imagine if this were a title fight? You know, I feel like you should go into, and like I'm not a fighter, never have been, but I feel like when you're going in there with the expectation that you're gonna be on weight to go for, like, if this were a title fight and Waterson was fighting on the earlier fights, you know, she'd go in there with the attempt to say, like, I'm gonna make that 5 weight. Same thing with if it was Corey Sandhagen and TJ Dillashaw, the former main event, just being ready. But I like UFC being confident to say, you know what, these girls need to get in there. We're going to showcase their talents, and we're going to make it a hell of a fight.
Exactly. But let's get started with the first fight in the card, which is a women's strawweight matchup, which is pitting 10-2 Amanda Ribas, who is the -175 favorite, going up against Angela Hill, who is 13-9, is the +145 underdog. What's your first thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, man, this is a great start to the main event, or the main card, I'm sorry. You have Amanda Ribas, who, after 4 straight wins in the UFC over Mackenzie Dern, Randa Marcos, and Paige VanZant, was poised to be the next big thing. You know, she was the it girl of the UFC, and then she ran into our main event co-headliner, Marina Rodriguez, and lost that fight. While on the other side, you have Angela Hill, 6-year UFC veteran, who, due to her record, has kind of become and given the role of gatekeeper in the strawweight division. And lately, to be honest with you, Hill's biggest opponent has been the judges, getting the losing end of 2 split decisions in the last 2 fights between Gedalia and, I believe, Waterson. But she's looking to get back to her winning ways and work her way towards a title shot and a rematch with Rose Namajunas to this fight, trying to keep the fight standing and keep a nonstop pace like she's known to. utilizing her stand-up and her kickboxing to help score the win. With Hebas, I see her trying to take it to the ground and attempt to tire out Hill and get a submission. And with Hebas, her stand-up is developing, but what we got in what got her into the UFC is her ground game. So look to see this fight go to the ground a lot. And if the fight stays standing, still Hill is going to be too much for Hebas, in my opinion. And when it comes down to my decision for this fight, I'm going to go with Amanda Hebas by second round submission.
Yeah, as you see right here, we got Amanda Ribas fighting out of Brazil, and then you got Angela Hill fighting out of New York City. Ribas is 27, Hill is 36, so she's given up 9 years of youth. You got Ribas, who's 116, and you got Hill, who is 115 and a half. They both have the same height. Ribas has the 66 reach advantage to 64 and a half of Hill, and Ribas fights out of America Top Team, and then Ribas Family, which is our primary gym, and then you got Hill fighting out of Alliance gym over there. And as you can see here, I have notes right here so everybody can see, to give everybody the kind of input of what we have in the background. But Ribas holds a black belt in both jiu-jitsu and judo against the Muay Thai styles of Hill. However, Ribas she's going to want that takedown. Hill, she's good at the takedown, but she gets over eager, and I think the grappling style of Ribas is going to be her advantage in this matchup, whereas Hill is going to want to do a lot of work on her feet. Like, it's beneficial that Hill mixes a lot of kicks and knees into her combinations, as either can be used to initiate takedowns if time carefully. That's something for Ribas, because Hill's really good with the combos, but if she rushes everything, and then she does too much, Ribas is going to know that, and Hill is prone to being taken down because of her volume.
Mm-hmm.
Ribas should be looking to clinch. Hill loves the clinch and is skilled there, but she can over eager with it, and then she likes to pursue knees and elbows. Yeah, she likes to do a lot of mixture, just a lot of this and a lot of that. And against Ribas, she's got to stay standing. She wants to get into kind of like a range, pick a range and stay there. Kind of like what happened in the Rosenstruck fight against Gane. Gane stayed a distance away. He knew that he had to respect Rosenstruck's striking, and then he knew he has to stay in range. And that's what she needs to do, respect that Ribas could decide to go for that takedown, even though she's not known for that. She's going to want to keep moving. Ribas is a little bit slower than Hill. Hill can keep it moving good, but Hill's kickboxing, like I said, will be perfect for the distance fighting in this matchup. And she's going to want to attack the legs and then go in, go out, pick and choose her shots, go in and go out. And I feel like, though, in this matchup, though, she's going to get, like I said, too overeager, and she's going to commit to too much stuff in a too short amount of time instead of thinking about what she needs to do ahead of time. She's going to kind of go on the fly with it. And I think Ribas is going to come in with a game plan, knowing that Hill's going to try and stand the fight up, and she's going to pick and choose. And she's going to go for a takedown and try and grapple. And I'm going to say that she's going to win by second round submission. I feel like she's going to get her slipping, going for a knee. She's going to catch her. She's going to get her down, and she's going to win by second round rear naked choke.
Okay. I don't see Hill ever attempting a takedown in this. I think I know you said that she's prone to it sometimes, but she gets overeager. I think that the game plan for a striker against Hebas is laid out with the last fight between her and Mariana Rodriguez. When Hebas was moving forward, Rodriguez moved right forward, kept the pace, caught her, and then put her out. That's the same type of style that we see with Angela Hill. She's a stand-up fighter, an entertaining fighter, despite her record. Like I said, the judges have kind of been cruel to her, but she likes to go to decisions, and she likes to use her range and use her point fighting to get her to those decisions. But with Hebas, I feel like she has to stop her. You know what I mean? I don't think that this is going to go to distance, like you said.
The only problem with the Rodriguez fight is Marina Rodriguez has power in her
Oh
strikes.
yeah, she's a killer.
Yeah, she's a killer. Whereas Hill, she doesn't have that much power to her. She has a lot of volume. She has a lot of. She can do an output of a lot of striking and then kicks. It's just that it's not going to be a lot of power to them, so they're not going to be as effective as one shot, power shot of Marina Rodriguez, which is the case that what happened to Ribas. She was able to get her with a couple shots because Ribas was winning that fight, and then she caught her with a good strike in the second round, and then she which struck Ribas and then kind of paralyzed her for a second.
It was game over.
It was game over from there because she was slipping the rest of the way. Ribas could probably get hit by Hill and then keep going because of her power's not as much. I feel like the victory for Hill is her legs.
Yeah, for sure.
Using her leg kicks because they can immobilize Ribas here and there by just like effectively kicking her in the legs and doing good, kind of like what Masvidal did with Usman until he abandoned that.
Yeah. If you can stop a wrestler, BJJ practitioner from getting those takedowns by taking out their wheels, it's pretty effective.
Yep. But moving on to the second fight of the card, we got a lightweight matchup between Diego Ferreira, who is 17-3 and is the plus 150 underdog, going up against Gregor Gillespie, who is 13-1 and is the minus 185 underdog. Favorite. What's your thoughts on this fight?
I like this matchup for a lot of reasons. Both of these guys have been faced off with top 10 contenders and are looking to take that next step. You have Ferreira, who has 8 wins in the UFC, with one of them being a second round rear naked choke win over Anthony Pettis just last year. And then you have Gregor Gillespie, who since entering the UFC has gone 6-1 with wins over Yancy Medeiros and Vince Pichel. Both of these guys are coming off a loss, with Ferreira losing to Beneil Dariush in February via split decision, and then Gregor dropping his last fight to Kevin Lee via TKO, and that was 2 years ago. So there's a long layoff between Gregor and his previous fight to this one. The way I see this fight is that Gregor is going to get this to the ground. That's his game. That's his bread and butter, getting it to the ground, and he's going to use his world-class ground game to get the win. But with Ferreira, he can get it done standing and on the ground. He's a really good BJJ practitioner as well, which may present a problem to Gillespie. Another thing I have to take into account is that layoff for fights between Gillespie. That fight with Kevin Lee was in 2019, and he's going up against a guy who is slightly more active, not like super active. He's not going up against a Kevin Holland or anything, but he's going up against somebody who's slightly more active, which has impacted my decision, to be honest with you. This was probably the toughest one for me to go with. I like Gregor's style. I love his ground game. He's like a wet blanket. He just smothers you. But I'm going to go with Ferreira, actually, by decision. I think that he's going to, because of his ground game, he's going to pose a different threat than Gregor's previous opponents.
Yeah, we got Ferreira, who's fighting out of Texas. He's Brazilian, and then you got Gillespie, who's fighting out of Long Island. Of course, he's American. Diego's 36 to Gregor's 34. They're both weighing at 155, and then the reach advantage goes to Ferreira. His height is 5'9", and Gregor is 5'7", and then the reach advantage is 74 to Diego to 71 of Gregor Gillespie. He's fighting Ferreira's fighting out of Fortis MMA, and then Gillespie's fighting out of Long Island MMA, and then he also fights out of Belmore Kickboxing MMA. They both are wrestling style fighters. You see here, Ferreira is a solid striker that has stats to back it up. That he's known for standing up, but he's no slouch when it comes to taking down. They both have a similar style of getting the guy down and then doing the ground and pound. But the advantage with that is Gillespie, he's more aggressive with his attempts. And it's he's very good striker. He's more accurate. He doesn't have to throw as much to connect. And I feel like I'm going to cut to the chase here and just go short here. Even though with the layoff, I feel like he lost to a better fighter than Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee, right before he had the double leg surgery in his last fight, which was the fight after the Gillespie fight, he was looking at the best he had, and then he gave Gillespie his one loss in his career, and he's coming off of that. Gillespie took that time off. He used it to his advantage. Like he's been training nonstop. He was supposed to fight a month and a half ago against Brad Riddell, and that got pulled the day of. And now he's booked with Diego Ferreira, whereas Drew Dober is booked in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, against Brad Riddell.
Against Brad Riddell. And so like it's not like he hasn't been booked. He was booked for that. So he was training then. So this is just going to be a little bit more training on his belt, whereas Ferrer, this is his first booked fight in a while. And he hasn't fought since actually 2 months ago. He lost to Dariush.
Yeah.
So whereas it's been 1 year for Gillespie. So like I feel like it's going to be a little bit beneficial to Gillespie knowing that he was just training a month ago. And then now Ferreira's like coming in on just 1 month's notice to train for him. And I feel like what's going to happen is I don't think anybody's going to get knocked out or submitted. I think it's going to be all about who's going to get the takedown and who's going to control the fight on the ground first. Because I think that's what's going to happen. And I think Gillespie's going to be the stronger guy, the guy that's going to smother Ferreira because of his aggressiveness. I think Ferreira, he's good on the ground, but he's less aggressive. He's just trying to get you down and just go. Gillespie, that's his main objective. He's trying to get you down. He's trying to do the ground and pound, and he's pretty good with his elbows. I feel like he's going to get him down. He's going to switch between stances, and it's just going to wear out Ferreira because once Ferreira starts to stand up, he's not going to have all that power and all that striking because his gas tank is going to be so worn out from being down and fighting off of the clinch. And I feel like it's going to be probably like a 3-round like dominance by Gillespie. I got Gregor Gillespie by unanimous decision, 3 rounds to none.
I kind of figured this would be the fight that we would disagree on, the first fight that we would disagree on. That change in opponent's huge, I think, at least for me. Riddell's a kickboxer, so he's not going to threaten you on the ground. So Gregor is, in my mind, training for a kickboxer. Also, I don't know how much training he was getting in those years because he's from New York, and New York shut down and had some of the hardest COVID restrictions. You know, you and I are an earshot away from New York, and we know exactly how hard it is. Where, you know, Fajeda is fighting in Fortis. He's fighting the Darren Williams owned Fortis gym. Do you know that?
Yeah,
that's crazy. But that's not the point. He's fighting in Texas, which is a lot more lenient. You know, they didn't close for as long as New York did. New York still kind of closed down. So I don't know how much training was going in there. But again, Gregor's world class on the ground, like you said. This was obvious. This was honestly a pick'em for me, and I just went with the underdog. I was like, I'm going to pick an underdog in this one. I enjoy Gregor's style. I enjoy his tattoos as a geek myself. Love his tattoos, but I'm curious to see where this one goes. This is a hell of a matchup at lightweight for sure.
Yeah, if Diego Ferreira can catch him early and catch him before the takedown and just stun him with a strike, I feel like he'll have a good chance of winning. But I feel like he has to do it early. I feel like he has to do it to where he prevents him from like going with the takedown. Some shot where it makes him like change game plans instead of going for the takedowns. Gregor tries to stand up and trade with them. That would be Diego's best bet in this matchup. Yeah,
he's got to cut off the cage, right?
Yes.
He's got to go in there, bite down on his mouthpiece, push to the end, and get him right to get Gregor's heels on the back of the cage so he can't get any shots. Yeah. If he leaves wide open space, it's game over. He's going to put him on the ground.
Yep. But moving on to the third fight on the card, we have a nice heavyweight matchup pinning up Maurice Green, who is 9-5 and is the plus 160 underdog going up against Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who's 17-7-1. It is the minus 190 favorite. What do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, like you said, man, this is a great matchup at heavyweight between two fighters who are trying to make the next step in their career. Maurice Green, who might have the craziest fighter name I've ever heard of, the Crochet Boss, is looking to bounce back from his loss against Greg Hardy. On the other hand, you have Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who is also looking to bounce back over a submission loss against Alexander Romanov. The way I see this fight is that these two are going to try to keep it standing. And I can see Green capitalizing on De Lima's poor takedown defense and trying to capture his 5th submission victory. De Lima's ground game is his biggest weakness. And with 6 of his UFC losses are submission losses in the UFC. And I think Green's camp knows this and knows that this is his opponent's weakness and is going to look to capitalize on his ground game, but not only his ground game, but also to capitalize on Green's 6'7" frame and 7-inch reach advantage and use that to his favor. So with that being said, again, I'm going with an underdog, and I'm going to go with Maurice, the Crochet Boss Green, by a 2nd round submission victory.
This was kind of tough for me. Like, you got Green, who's beat Junior Albini. He lost to Sergey Pavlovich, Alexei Oleinik. He beat Gene Valente, which it took him a lot. Like, he was losing that fight. Like, he was getting dominated, and then he just out of nowhere in the 3rd round picked up that submission to win it. I remember I picked him in that fight, and then I got excited as shit when he pulled out the crazy submission. Then he lost it.
Valente's gas tank was empty in that fight. Yep. That was a hard fight to watch for both of them. They were mouth open, struggling. And
then you got Greg Hardy fight where he got knocked out. But then you got Marcos, who lost to Vince St. Preux. He beat Adam Weck. He lost to Stefan Struve by submission. He beat Ben Saucely, and then his last one he lost to Alexander Romanov. So he hasn't fought in 5 months, whereas it's same thing. I think I feel like they fought on the same card. 5 months and just a week apart. But you got Green, who is fighting out of Illinois, whereas Marcos is fighting out of Brazil. Green is 34 to Lima's 35. They're both floating at around 250 pounds. Green is 6'7", and then Lima is 6'1", so Green has the height advantage. And then the big difference here is Green has the 82-inch reach advantage, and Lima has 75-inch reach. And then Green's fighting out the Performance Compound, and then Lima's fighting out American Top Team as well. Lima has a skill set of a traditional power heavyweight with serious striking power and vicious ground and pound. He's known for getting his guys down and then just demolishing them in the ground and pound. 6 of Lima's last 8 victories have been knockout. He's a black belt in BJJ. He has some ground ability and has produced 3 submission victories, but he's also been submitted 5 times as well. As you said, like you have Green by submission.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. He's 36 years old. He wants to fight on his feet where he can unleash his power. So he's looking to stand up and trade.
Oh, for sure.
He's looking to do that so he can get to what he's good at. He's Green, whereas Green is effective in the clinch and will throw hard knees to the body. He tries to weaken you with the knees. He comes from a kickboxing background, has shown decent strike defense through 7 UFC fights. He has a blue belt in BJJ, and all 5 of his submission victories have come by triangle choke. So that's his favorite thing to do. He likes to use the choke. Lima is easily the more accurate striker of the two. He likes his chances against anybody in the stand-up and has a high level of BJJ with the ability to take you down to the canvas. And that's when he goes with those elbows and knees that he likes to throw. And then he tries to finish you on the ground. I think where the problem with this matchup lies is the fact that what's going to happen is going to be on the ground, because it seems like both guys like to clinch.
Yeah.
but it feels like Lima is going to lean more towards the stand-up, maybe like the stand-up clinch instead of the takedown clinch. It's going to try and I feel like Lima's going to try and clinch him against the cage,
Dirty box.
and dirty box there. Whereas Green, he's going to look to take Marcus down to the ground and clinch. And with those 5 losses by submission, it's going to try and submit Lima. But if that can happen, that's going to not bode well for Lima. He's going to want to do that. He's going to want to get in there. He's going to want to use those knees to help him get down Lima, and then get the fight to the ground. And I feel like at the end, I was leaning towards Lima because Lima has the power shot, and I feel like Green might get knocked out. But I feel like the more that I think of it in this matchup, that I feel like he's going to take Lima down. He's going to be able to avoid those shots.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's going to get the third round submission.
Nice.
I feel like maybe it's going to be like the Valente fight where Lima is winning, just not dominantly like Valente was. And then he's going to get gassed out a little bit, and then Green's going to win because he's going to have more of the gas tank, and he's going to be able to lock in the choke and then win by third round submission.
Yeah, I mean, Marcos kind of reminds me of Roy Nelson in a bit, where Roy Nelson was, one of a world-class grappler, right? BJJ black belt, kind of just like you said with Marcos, and then totally abandoned it because you don't see a bunch of heavyweights going to the ground and, putting people into arm bars and triangle chokes, right? The thing that stands out to me between this matchup is the Marcos Rogerio de Lima's Stefan Struve fight.
Yeah.
Another skyscraper, right? Struve's what, 7'7", 7'8", or 6'7", sorry. It's not Yao Ming. 6'7", 6'8". Big dude, right? Huge guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maurice Green's a big guy too. And I believe Struve got him with a triangle choke. Maurice Green's favorite go-to move. So if Marcos is, he's the power guy, he's going to get in there and try and look for that knockout shot, kind of like Greg Hardy did on Green. If you're able to get taken down and submitted by a long, huge competitor like that, it's not going to bode well for the next long, huge competitor that comes in whose favorite move is the triangle choke.
Yeah.
So that's what made me sway my decision. You look at the numbers, and you have your classic knockout artist versus your ground game guy who has a subpar gas tank. I think the judges, or not the judges, the odds makers are like, well, this is going to be a quick one. He just got knocked out his last fight. This guy knocks out people. That's why we're going to give him the nod. But I'm riding with the underdog, but 2 fights in a row.
I don't think it's big of an underdog either, because as you say, minus 190, plus 160. I think they're just riding Lima because he's the power guy
for sure,
who can knock somebody out. Whereas Green, he kind of relies on the submission, which is kind of crazy thinking of his stature and his reach. But that reach can be used as a plus for a grappler in submission, because he can wrap his hands around him with ease and get that choke in, because he doesn't have to he doesn't have to go short amount of time. He can do like a smaller, easier choke where it doesn't look like he's putting a lot of pressure on, but he really is because of his reach.
Yeah, I mean, Green's 2 inches taller than I am, and if I were ever in a fight, I would not want him to go to the ground because I'm such a large body down there. But also, having long limbs like I do and like Maurice Green does, it does come to your advantage, and you're kind of easier to kind of slip those chokes in there.
Yep. I think he's going to let Lima try and gas himself out. I think he's going to test Lima, let him throw some shots and see how his gas tank's going to be. And I feel like Lima's going to try and take too much advantage of it. And then if he doesn't knock out Green in the first round, I think he's going to – I think that's the only way Lima wins is by a first-round knockout.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But moving on to the fourth fight on the card, there's 6 fights on this, but we got a welterweight matchup of a fight that was supposed to take place in August and then got rescheduled, and then both guys wound up fighting different opponents. We have Neil Magny, who's 24-8 and is the plus 165 underdog, going up against Jeff Neal, who's 13-3 and is the minus 190 favorite. What do you see in this matchup?
So I want you to bear with me on this comparison. This fight reminds me of the Hebos and Hill fight. You
Okay.
have Neil Magny, a 9-year UFC veteran whose resume features wins over Kelvin Gastelum, Hector Lombard, Johnny Hendricks, Carlos Condit, and most recently Robbie Lawler. Now he's facing another tough task with Jeff Neal. Since breaking into the UFC scene on Dana White's Contender Series, Jeff Neal has gone 6-1 with wins over Mike Perry, Nico Price, and Bilal Muhammad. Now, I said this reminds me of the Hill and the Hebus fight, remember? Because Magny is a streaky fighter who's kind of becoming this gatekeeper kind of role, even though he shouldn't, because Magny's an exciting, constant top 10 performer. But he'll amass these several wins, right? And then look like he's going to make that next step and take a turn to the title contender. And then he drops 1 or 2 and falls back to the bottom of the top 10. With this fight, I expect it to stay standing. I think Magny is going to try to capitalize and keep the pace and point fight, hoping to tire Neal out, and then try to use that 4-inch reach advantage and 4-inch height advantage, and 5-inch reach advantage to keep Neal at bay. But Neal throws a lot of punches per round. I think it's like 6.1 per minute. He throws some of the highest volume of striking, and he's a knockout artist. He's got his nickname Hands of Steel for a reason. I don't think Magny is going to shoot for takedowns, given Neal's 93% takedown defense. But I could see Jeff Neal shooting for at least one takedown to try and notch his 3rd submission victory just because he can. With that, I do see Jeff Neal winning by submission. But not winning by submission. I see him winning by decision. I think this goes all 3 rounds, and I think it's going to be a unanimous decision on Neal's part. You're on mute.
We got Neil Magny, who lost to San Diego Ponzinibbio. Then he beat Yingling Li. He beat Anthony Rakumar and then beat Robbie Lawler before he lost to, of course, Michael Chiesa a couple months ago. And then you got Jeff Neal, who beat Frank Camacho, Bilal Muhammad. He beat Nico Price and then Mike Perry before losing to Stephen Thompson. You got Neil Magny fighting out of Illinois, and then you got Neal fighting out of Texas. 33 years to 30 years of Neal. They both have weigh 171 pounds. 6'3" for Magny height to 5'11" of Neal. So Magny's got that weight, that height advantage that he's going to use. Then you got the 80-inch reach advantage to 75. So once again, you got the height and reach advantage that are benefit on Neil Magny's side by a lot. He's fighting out Team Elevation Fight Team, and then we got another Fortis MMA gym member in Jeff Neal. Yeah. I feel like this is going to be prototypical striker against, in my opinion, striker against grappler, because I do feel like Magny's going to try and grapple, because he'll start out feeling him out by range, and using kicks and punching. You got Magny who likes to use the kicks with that reach. I feel like he's going to be grapple and happy. He's going to want to try and submit Jeff Neal, and I feel like what Jeff Neal's doing is he's going to have more of the pace on his side. He knows what he needs to do. His competition that he's fought has been far superior over Neil Magny's. Even with the loss, he fought Stephen Thompson, who is in the top 5. He floats around that 5 to 8 range all the time, and then he'll get a win and then he'll lose. But he knows what his style is and he sticks to it. I feel like Magny tries to stand up and trade, and then he winds up losing half the time because he doesn't stick to that grappling. Yeah. That's kind of what happened in the Chiesa fight. He tried to stand up knowing that Chiesa is more of a wrestler, and then he got beat. Whereas he kind of should have countered the wrestling of Chiesa and tried to grapple Chiesa and then lock him in a choke or whatever, because there are several holes in that fight where he could have caught Chiesa with the submission, and he just didn't do it. And I feel like that is going to benefit Neil. I feel like Neil's going to go in. He's going to get under Magny, and he's going to catch him with a nice right hook. And I feel like that chin of Magny is so-and-so. It's not the best chin. Like, he won't get knocked out like glass chin-wise, but he'll get rocked by it. And I feel like this is the prototypical like first-round knockout fight that I feel like. Jeff Neal's going to come in, and he's going to warrant the minus 190 status, and he's going to come in and knock out Magny with a nice right hook, just ducking in under Magny and catching him, slipping, because Magny's going to come in, try and grapple, and then, as you said before, it's damn near impossible to take down Neal. He's only been taken down once in his UFC career by some no name early on. So I don't think it's going to work. And then Neal's going to win by first round knockout.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Neal is kind of undersized for the division.
Yeah,
but what he lacks in height, he adds in muscle. The dude looks like he's made of steel. With Magny, I don't see him trying to. Well, he could shoot for these takedowns and try to be the next one to take him down. Like, that's a challenge. But with Magny, sometimes when he's counted out the most, he surprises everybody. He's been in this fight game. He's been in the UFC for 9 years. Usually, we don't see a lot of that, right? We don't. I don't remember him challenging for a title in forever. So, when that happens, they usually don't re-sign. They go to Bellator, they go to ONE or PFL, and they try to, well, it would have been World Series of Fighting, but they go to these other promotions and try to win a championship. Neil Magny stays there because he knows he's world class. He knows that he's fought, you said far more superior on Jeff Neal's part, maybe recently between their last two, but Chiesa's no slouch. He's been on a tear since moving up to division, world class ground game as well. But look at the resume for Neil Magny, man. He's fought everybody. Big wins over Kelvin Gastelum, Robbie Lawler, who's still a stud. So this could be a pick'em fight, but I'm still riding with Jeff Neal. I don't want to disrespect Neil Magny. He's a hell of a fighter.
Oh no, I'm definitely not disrespecting him, but I feel like Jeff Neal is just like he has lost when he got to that top 5 matchup, but I feel like he's further ahead right now than Neil Magny is, because I feel like he fought Chiesa. Magny fought and lost to Chiesa, but Chiesa's ranked number 6 right now, whereas Stephen Thompson's ranked number 5. So they both fought like a top 5 guy. And I feel like I value the loss to Stephen Thompson over the loss to Chiesa because of the style fighter, which is going to help Neal more in the long run than the loss to Chiesa will for Magny.
Yeah, I mean, Thompson goes the distance 90% of his fights. He's a point fighter for sure. And the thing that Magny or Jeff Neal has over Magny is that even though Magny was on The Ultimate Fighter many moons ago, Jeff Neal is the Dana White's Contender Series guy, and Dana White likes to capitalize on those guys and push that show. And if you can have him, that's why Jeff Neal has been like skyrocketed into the top 5, like you said, getting these matchups because he's a homegrown guy from Dana White's. I discovered him. This is the whole thing. So I agree. I agree with you. I don't know where I was going with that.
But let me move on to the co-main event of the evening, which was supposed to be Don Cerrone against Diego Sanchez, but with the whole Sanchez thing, he withdrew from the matchup. So now it's a welterweight matchup between Don Cerrone, who is 36-15 and is the minus 155 favorite, going up against Alex Morano, who is 18-7 and is the plus 135 underdog. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, so the theme of this fight card should be veteran showcase because, again, you have another veteran cowboy who has more fights in the UFC with 36 than his opponent has total. Cowboy is coming in on a 4-fight losing streak and is looking to get back to his winning ways. He's going up against a new opponent, like you said, in Alex Morano, who has won 3 of his last 5. And this is a tough fight to pick because of the short notice opponent change. Cowboy had been training to fight Diego Sanchez, whose style as of late has been something extremely hard to replicate because it's so unusual. And who knows what shape Morano's been in coming into this fight, having taken it on a week's notice. I don't think he had a fight booked. I don't think that he was in the middle of a camp. So the weight cut's probably going to be pretty extreme for Alex Morano. I can see Cowboy pushing the pace, trying to tire Morano out and take advantage of what I believe could be that long weight cut. Whereas Morano, I see him looking to get out quick and throw a lot early in the first round and see if he can take advantage of Cowboy's likelihood, history of being knocked out. If this fight goes to the ground, it's 1 round. If this fight goes to more than 1 round, I see it going to the ground. Morano has 6 wins via submission. However, Cowboy has an undefeated or underrated ground game. I think his last matchup was a grappling exhibition match with Rafael dos Anjos, and he won that. And Rafael dos Anjos is a great BJJ guy. So Cowboy's ground game is something we don't see often, but we should, because he's great down there. With that being said, this fight, I see Cowboy winning by decision.
Yeah, as you see here, Cowboy hasn't won that much in the past 5 fights. He has 4 losses and the 1 draw with Nico Price, I believe it is. And then you got Alex Morano, who is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. You got Cerrone, who fights out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then Houston, Texas for Morano. Of course, Don Cerrone's 38 and Morano's 30. They both are 170.5 pounds. You got Cerrone, who is 6'1", and then you got Morano, I believe that's 5'11". And then the reach advantage is just about the same, 73 to 72. And then Cerrone fights out BMF Ranch Gym. And then you got Morano, who fights out of both Fortis MMA. And then his primary one now is Gracie Bear Woodland. So as you see in the name Gracie, so you know that he has somewhat of a grappling clinch background. So just like you said, the longer the fight goes, the more chances that he'll primarily have to get into the clinch and use that against Cerrone. But the one thing in this matchup that I like is, even though Cerrone is the older guy by 8 years, his kickboxing and his striking style is so adverse that he can fight no matter where he's at, and he can always be a threat. He's like, and then another thing is his underrated wrestling background. He doesn't use it a lot because he likes to stand and trade, and sometimes he gets rocked early. But if he needs to, he will. He'll use that wrestling to take his opponent down. Yeah. And then use his wild fighting style to beat you up. But I feel like he'll only use that in the later rounds. But I feel like in round 1, I feel like he'll be using a lot of his legs, a lot of his range, and then he'll just come out like a banshee and then attack Morano. Like Cerrone's been the more fighter to fight of late than Morano. He takes a lot of fights. No matter what, not as much as he did probably 4 years ago, where it seemed like he was fighting every 2-3 months. Yeah, because that's the kind of guy he is. He'll take any fight that he wants. Like he's never going to say no because he needs the paycheck. Well, now he doesn't because of all the sponsors he has now. He
loves to fight.
Yeah, he loves to fight because he loves to spend money, and then to spend money, he needs to have fights. Yeah. So he books as many fights as possible. So he takes more risks, is what I'm saying. He takes more risks in the fights because he knows that's a better chance of getting a great knockout win or something to get that bonus. Yeah. But I feel like he's going to be more disciplined in this matchup because he's only going to have 2 fights left. This is his first, and then the next one's going to be his last fight before he retires. So I think he's going to be more disciplined with what he does. He's not going to put himself out there vulnerably to get hit just to throw a punch back to knock the guy out. He's going to be smarter here, and I feel like he's going to bear with me. He's going to win by first round leg kick.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
He has those long legs, and I feel like Morano's going to expect crazy Cerrone coming out there and just jumping at him with his hands, but he's going to come. It's going to be more disciplined and kind of not exactly like the Rose Namajunas fight a couple of weeks ago. it's going to be similar to that, where he's going to just use a leg kick and catch Marino slipping, and he's going to knock him out.
I mean, he's got world-class Muay Thai. His Muay Thai is phenomenal. I thought that this was the way that the card looked and the matchup between him and Sanchez, I kind of thought that this was going to be no pun intended, he wins this fight, rides out on a high horse. Mm-hmm. I thought that this was going to be his last fight. He was going to move on. And, he's a thrill seeker. He loves to do his stuff. It's going to be a sad day when Cowboy Cerrone retires because he's a legend in the sport. You said, one of the most active fighters out there and puts on hell of fights every time. With this, it's so weird because, he's going up against a younger dude who, you win, you kind of get more momentum, you kind of feel yourself a little bit more and say, I'm going to go back and fight. So I have one more rodeo left in this Cowboy. Yeah. But I don't know, man, if he wins this fight, who do you see his next opponent being?
That's a tough call because he was supposed to fight Sanchez.
Yeah, that's a legacy fight right there.
And this isn't at lightweight, so it's at welterweight. So you gotta weigh in the guys in the top 10, top 15, and see who would want to fight him.
Maybe Matt Brown,
which it could be. It could be Matt Brown. It could be somebody of that where it's a veteran that's looking to do the same thing. Who?
Nick Diaz.
That's if he fights again.
He's coming back. He said he was. I mean, he was at UFC 261. He wants to fight.
Dana White says he's not sure if he's coming back or not. Yeah.
I mean, you could always give him Dan Hardy too, who wants to come back and fight.
That would be perfect.
Another legacy fight for both of those guys. Great fight. Yeah. Or Paul Felder. I'd like him to see him fight Paul Felder.
Yeah, but then it would have to be at lightweight.
Yeah, well, Paul Felder will go up a little bit. Who knows?
But I did that fight. But even though in itself, what a great career for Don Cerrone. It's crazy to think that at 36-15, he's only had 2 title fights because he's split around 2-3 different weight classes. But he's been a fan favorite. His legacy will be known for taking any fight at any time, and just constantly fighting because of the way he spends. So
he needs to fight for that BMF belt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his ranch name. Maybe him and Game Bread is the matchup to make.
Exactly. But let's move on to the main event. As you see on the ticker below, we got it says women's strawweight matchup, but it's going to be held at flyweight because of the late move to the main event. And we got Marina Rodriguez, who is 13-1-2 and is the -215 favorite, going up against Michelle Waterson, who is 18-8 and is the +165 underdog. What do you think of this main event?
Well, first, I'm curious to see if Rodriguez or Waterson feel great at 125. Are they going to stay there and challenge Valentina? But that's besides the point. In my mind, this is a great matchup between 2 title contenders at strawweight. You have Waterson coming in off of a big win over Angela Hill in September, and she's going up against Mariana Rodriguez, who is coming off a win versus Amanda Ribas. I can see why this fight is the main event. Both of these fighters are electric and are naturally strikers. Waterson obviously has the karate background and uses an array of kicks to keep her opponent guessing and to keep her at bay. But she has had issues going up against fighters who push the pace and have a height and reach advantage. Enter Mariana Rodriguez, who has a 3-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage, and is a fighter who bites down on their mouthpiece and moves forward, having almost half of her wins by knockout. I think in the UFC she has 6. I see Waterson attempting to take this fight to the ground, as she has most of her wins via submission, while I see Rodriguez keeping the fight standing and looking for the early knockout like she did against Amanda Ribas. I don't see this fight going to distance, and I'm going to take Rodriguez by second-round knockout. I love Michelle Waterson. I'm super entertained every time she fights. But if Mariana wins this fight, I'm curious to see where you put this. But I'd like to see her either get a rematch versus Carla Esparza, who's ranked ahead of her, or go up against somebody like Joanna, who is like number 3 in the division. I think if she wins this, she'll stay at 6. However, I think Joanna is either going to fight Carla at 5 or Mackenzie Dern, because Mackenzie Dern's been kind of moving up the bracket. So what do you think?
When I saw this fight booked, it reminds me of one of the first fights that got me into the UFC on a regular scale, like weekly type thing. Not like the Chuck Liddell Tito T's, but like on the regular. And it was
For sure.
it was UFC 100. It was Shogun Rua versus Lyoto Machida.
Okay.
These two fighters remind me of the women version of them, whereas Michelle Waterson's like Lyoto Machida with the countering karate background. They wait for you, then they use the karate to their advantage. And then you got Marina Rodriguez, who is more the power striker, kind of like Shogun Rua is, who's going to push the pace forward. Reminds me just like Shogun Rua. So when I first saw this, I was like, this reminds me of this matchup. This is the type of style I love, because those two men had two big-time matchups in the UFC at that time, and it was for the title when Machida was the champion, and then eventually Shogun wound up taking it. And it's going to be similar style. You're going to have Michelle Waterson, who, like you said, she does have that takedown, but I feel like she's going to let Marina Rodriguez control the pace, and she's going to just sit back and see if she can make a mistake and then capitalize it. She's going to use her legs, use her striking, and then just bob and weave. And then if she has an opening, she'll take it. But I don't think there'll be much openings for her to go up against with Marina Rodriguez.
Yeah.
As you saw in the Ribas fight, she was very patient. She actually was. Her way of letting Ribas make a mistake is just standing there and seeing what was happening and seeing what Ribas was doing. She was surveying the scene and letting her make mistakes. As you see in this matchup, the same, basically the same age, same weight. The height advantage goes to Marina by just like 0.3 inches. But then she has the 3-inch reach advantage. She fights out Brazil Floripa and the AS team, and then Waterson fights out of Jackson Wink MMA. As you know, everybody that fights there, of course, big time. John Jones, and then before that, you had Rashad Evans. Before Rashad Evans wound up moving down to Florida to
Holly Holm,
and then Holly Holm. So if you take those styles, where it's like the kickboxing mixed like karate, and then you mix in sprinkle a little bit of the grappling in there. You got a good fighter there, but I feel like with Marina Rodriguez, it's that power shot that's going to be the game changer in this matchup.
Yeah.
Like getting that shot off and then stunning Michelle Waterson, because I feel like if she could get that done early, it's going to benefit Rodriguez, just like in the Ribas fight. Ribas got ahead early because she was doing her game. But then once she got clipped that one time, it got her so off her game plan because she was so out of it from getting hit hard, because Rodriguez, it hits like a center block.
Yeah.
And then it got her off her game. And I feel like that's what's going to happen in this matchup. I don't think it's going to go to decision. I don't think it's going to be in the clinch that much. So it's like, you take all that into consideration. It's like, what's the path to victory then for Waterson? How is she going to do it? Is it going to be by submission if she's able to avoid a shot and then get behind Rodriguez and then they get in a choke? Or is Rodriguez going to fall down and then Waterson's going to connect on a leg kick and stun her, and then get her down on the ground to eventually ground and pound her? How is she going to do it? All signs point to the more pluses for Marina Rodriguez to win in this matchup because of her power shot, the equalizer. She connects once, she's got her. I think she'll connect once in the first round. She'll stun Waterson, but then I think Waterson will wind up going on the ground, buying time, get into the second round, and then I feel like with that, I feel like Marina Rodriguez is going to wind up winning by ground and pound in round 2. I feel like she's going to catch her again, kind of like what she did with Ribas, and she's going to stand on top of her and just start wearing at her until the ref stops the fight, and then gives her the second round knockout.
Yeah, I mean that equalizer is huge, right? like I
Yep.
said, man, I think Waterson's game plan and path to victory is through the ground. Get her down if you can and keep her down. I'm curious to see what happens after this fight. If Mariana looks great at 125, there's going to be talks about her contending for a shot against Valentina, since Valentina's kind of cleared out that entire division. If Waterson loses this fight, the fight to make, honestly, is her and Hebas. I mean, that's been a fight that people have been wanting. That's a fight that Amanda Hebas has been asking for, and Michelle's been allegedly declining, I guess, because of rankings. So
Yeah.
I think that would be the fight to make if Hebas wins and Waterson loses.
No, I agree with that. Like, it'll be another thing where you got two matchups from these four women that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like where Marina goes from here if she gets the victory, right? Like we think she does. Like you said, she could contend for a Valentina, but then she could move up and get a better ranked spot here in the strawweight division.
Yeah, but I think she would have a better chance at staying at flyweight, because we know the fight to make in, strawweight is Rose Weili. Like, that's the rematch. Dana White's already said it. So she's going to have to stay active and it all goes back to when I talk about JoJo Calderwood, right? JoJo Calderwood went up against Jennifer Maia when she was the number one contender for that belt against Valentina. Yeah. Lost her spot, and now she has a challenge for a belt, right? If Mariana stays this course, stays at 115, she's got to go up against Mackenzie Dern, Carla Esparza, Joanna. She's got to go up against, that's Murderer's Row. So she's got to go up against these women when she could just kind of ride this momentum and say, well, Valentina is going to be a little more active than Rose. Valentina needs she's going to fight sooner than Rose's second fight. Yeah. So maybe just win this fight, win dominantly, do something impressive, and then wait until the fall when Valentina is ready, and there's your fight to make.
The only thing with that is this is going to be her first time fighting at flyweight. So you got to see how she does, because she's primarily fought at strawweight. So it's a different weight class, different types of fighters there.
Yeah, but we saw it with Andrade, the last fight. That was her. She fought once before that at flyweight. That was against Chikagian.
Yeah, but she's always floated around both those, though. Like, even before she got into UFC, she was floating around this. Whereas Marina has done primarily strawweight. Like, I think that would be a good move for her. It just, I have to see how she does with this fight, and then I still think she wouldn't be guaranteed that title fight right away. I think she would have to do one more fight anyway. That's why I think no matter where she goes, she's going to be in that 5 spot more than likely in either division with a win, and then she'd still have to fight one more time to get up to that title shot, because just jumping divisions.
Yeah, maybe she takes the winner against the Chikagian fight at 263.
Yeah, that would sound right. But I wouldn't be opposed to her staying at flyweight. That would be interesting. She'd probably get her ass kicked against Shevchenko if she got the title shot, and because our signs are leaning towards Shevchenko Nunez 3 right now. They're already talking about it, and then they asked Shevchenko, and she says she wants that third fight. So
yeah, I mean, that was the fight. That's the fight to make when we talked about it. The only other interesting one there was if Weili won against Rose. That would have been a fun fight, but maybe in the future we'll see that.
Yeah, we will, once Rose gets demolished by Weili, because now
look at you.
Now Weili's going to be on the tear now.
Look at you. All right, we'll see. I called that fight. That was the deciding factor of my night. That was my upset.
It was, but we didn't know that she was going to kick her with the leg kick like that. That was the surprising thing, since she doesn't do that. So now that Weili knows that she has that capability, I think it'll be different now. I think she's going to come in more aggressive.
Yeah,
and that's not going to be good for Rose.
That's going to be scary.
Yeah, yep. But that'll wrap things up for UFC Vegas 26 preview show. We are Caged by IQ. We're affiliated with the Sports Box. You can look down below, send them your questions and comments, and follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then subscribe to the YouTube page at the Sports Box Show. And then I am your host for Caged by IQ, D-Bake. You can follow Caged by IQ, the best place for MMA content, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page so you don't miss out on all the content that we bring out. We do previews and recaps for all the MMA promotions, UFC, you got PFL, you got Bellator, and then even one championship now that they're shown everywhere in the US now, normally now. But once again, don't miss any of that. We got interviews popping out every Wednesday as well. So you don't want to miss out on any of the content that's being displayed to you on YouTube. So subscribe to the page and then comment on our videos and let us know what you think. And you got anything to say before you get going?
Yeah, just listen to my podcast, The Active Geek and the Galaxy Wars podcast. Listen to them both, if you could.
Yep. And then all that stuff comes out on Wednesdays, and then Saturdays when you'll be bringing back your review episodes for the shows. I think Loki's the next one next month. Yep. So look forward to all their stuff primarily every Wednesday when they drop their normal episodes out. So check that out. But I'm your host, D-Bake. This is Jim. And then make sure you tune in and on Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time for the UFC Vegas 26 recap show. Me and Miles as we break down the recap of Saturday's fight. But we will talk to you later. See you guys.
Thank you for watching this episode of Cage My IQ on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sportsbox Show, Twitter at Sportsbox Show, Instagram at The Sportsbox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.